What I'd like to talk about is what Mushin mentioned, the two bodhicittas, but also do a little practice around that. But I'll talk just for a few minutes before we do a little practice. I think that as Mushin just mentioned, that the definition, the bodhi means mind, and bodhi means enlightened or awakened, and citta means mind. So this is the awakening mind. And I wanted to read a Pema Chodron quote. If we want there to be peace in the world, then we have to take responsibility when our own hearts and minds harden and close. We have to be brave enough to soften what is rigid, to find the soft spots and stay with it. We have to have that kind of courage and take that kind of responsibility. That's true spiritual warriorship. That's the true practice of peace. And I really do think that all of you, from what I'm hearing, are engaged in right action, but also through your Dharma practice. You are engaged in keeping your hearts open and your minds on the Dharma, your minds on the path. And, I think probably many of you catch yourself when you start falling into maybe negative thinking, or you're feeling kind of pessimistic. And, these are things that we have to work with moment to moment with our own minds and take responsibility. And so the two bodhicittas are kind of a thread that should run through our entire life. And does anybody know what the two bodhicittas actually are? There's two main bodhicittas, and they encompass the entire of the Dharma. But there's a specific name for the two. Does that ring a bell to anybody? Okay, there's the relative bodhicitta, and that emphasizes the compassion, the development of compassion. And then there's ultimate bodhicitta, and ultimate bodhicitta is the wisdom mind, the wisdom that sees and realizes the true nature, the empty nature of phenomena. And so those are considered, the two bodhicittas are considered like two wings of a bird. So to be able to make progress on the path, we need to combine both compassion with wisdom. And so, and then there are the techniques to develop that. First, I'll just mention under the relative bodhicitta of love and compassion, there's two other categories. One of them is called aspirational bodhicitta. And that's like saying, I want to take a trip. Then application bodhicitta is actually going on the journey. So aspirational bodhicitta would be something like, when I wake up, I say, today I will only engage in wholesome actions with compassion to bring an end of samsaric suffering. I try to remember to say that every morning. Or just simply, I try to remember saying things like, may what I'm about to do yield beneficial effects. So it's an aspiration. And I think probably all of you have some aspirations that maybe you generate in the morning about your aspirations for mindfulness, your aspirations for kindness, your aspirations to keep your heart open. And then the application. Now, we have different applications, but actually some of them are similar. The application that I want to talk about tonight for generating these bodhicittas are called the 7 points of mind training. How many of you have heard that system, 7 points of mind training? Yeah, I think a couple of you have for sure. And there's many, many texts on the 7 points of mind training. Norman Fisher from the Zen tradition actually has a book on it as well. But there's probably 20 books on it. And what you can do is, what I've done is I've compiled the books, and then I've gone through the commentaries. Because under the 7 points, so there's 7 main points, both ultimate bodhicitta and relative bodhicitta. There are then 59, they call them aphorisms, they're pithy slogans. And so there's commentaries, and it's really a cool exercise to take a number of books and kind of pull out the commentaries on the various slogans and then compare how different translators and different teachers comment on the meaning of the slogan. So this is one of the probably, you know, in Buddhism, there's the Hinayana path, which is ethics. There's the Mahayana path, which is this compassion and wisdom. And then there's the Vajrayana path, which is the pure view. And so the 7 points of mind training fall under the Mahayana, the development of compassion and wisdom. And there's other things. There's the 6 paramitas. There's the 4 immeasurables. These fall all under the application bodhicitta, you know, as part of the Mahayana path. There's also deity practices. Chenrezi is called Lord of Love. It's the one who looks at all beings with compassion. And it's the mantra, O Mani Padme Hum. So you see, all these skillful methods are ways to bring forth our inherent qualities of love and compassion, this relative bodhicitta. And so 7 points of mind training is really one of the most widely used, effective, well applied throughout all the traditions of Tibetan Buddhism and maybe other forms of Buddhism. And so I want to give you an example. There's, like I said, 7 main categories. So I'll just go through some of the points, and then we're going to actually do some practice around it. So the 7 points encompass both ultimate bodhicitta and relative. So the first point is called train in the preliminaries, and we're not going to really talk about that. That's basically guru yoga on the, you know, visualizing your teacher above the crown of your head and mingling your mind with your teachers. The second point of the 7 points is the training in ultimate and relative bodhicitta, and that's what I want to spend a minute on. So the ultimate bodhicitta, that forms what we call the view. And the view is this kind of view of the true nature of reality. So there are different ways that we come to the view. Some traditions point the view out directly. Like there's traditions of teachers slapping their students. They couldn't do this in the they couldn't do this, you know, today in this day and age, because you'd probably, you know, get arrested or something. But in the past, Tibetan Buddhists have like slapped their students with a sandal, and the student was just ready to realize the nature of mind and the true nature of reality. And so there's many ways that this true nature is pointed out over and over again. And so sometimes the pointing out is very direct, but in my lineage, in Kagyu, we practice very systematically, step by step, so that we start to develop insights into the true nature, which is actually the view of reality. So in some traditions like Dzogchen and Nyingma, they point it out to you. It's a direct pointing out. And then you meditate to gain confidence. But in my lineage, we do it the other way. We go step by step. We first calm the mind, and then we practice insight to develop this view, this wisdom. So some of the slogans under the 7 points of mind training and under the second point, which is ultimate and relative bodhicitta. For ultimate, there's things like rest in the nature of the alaya, the essence. And the alaya is just basically the spaciousness and openness of mind. Another slogan is examine the nature of unborn awareness. So you would take that slogan and you would just, it's like a koan in your tradition. You would just hold the question, and then after you've read some of the commentaries, you can kind of just sit in this open awareness and allow insights to dawn from that perspective. So basically, those ultimate bodhicitta slogans point us to resting in mind's true, empty, luminous nature. And by resting in that expanse, that loosens up our attachment, it loosens up our grasping and fixation on external reality. So it's kind of the view that we should hold. It's a view that helps us also during these difficult times, that this too shall pass. It's really an understanding of the ephemeral nature of the external phenomena that we find playing out in our karmic existence in this life. So Kanda Rinpoche has a quote. She says, what is the reality of a crisis beyond our fixation and conceptual overlays about it? So she feels that the real crisis is from our fixating, our grasping, and our personalizing and overlaying our concepts on what's really just fleeting phenomena, even though it does, some phenomena stick around longer than we would like. So that's the ultimate bodhicitta, and that's two of the slogans that go with that. With the relative bodhicitta, there are slogans like, first, the view to hold is that every single sentient being at one point through our multitudes of rebirths has been kind to us. And they say your kind mother, could be your kind friend. And so that while we might have difficulties with somebody in this immediate life, that's only one out of many relationships we've had with that person. And so we hold a deeper view about our connection with every single being. We hold the view that at one point that being was very kind to us, gave us tenderness and loving care. And so that even though we may be having difficulties in this lifetime, we can extend this kind of soft spot to them, this kind of deeper perspective, and understand that the way that we interact right now is planting the seeds for future relationships with individuals. So we want to then be very careful about how we connect and the energy that we put out towards another individual. We should try to do our best to hold positive thoughts, well-wishing, saying kind, useful words, timely words. So the practice that I'd like us to engage in, which we're going to do now, is this Tonglen. And Tonglen means, Tong in Tibetan means to send out, and Len means to take in. And so this should be a very simple, direct, straightforward practice. We don't have to, again, conceptualize it. We just actually engage in it. And so the way that this practice goes is we first take an ultimate slogan. And so I'm going to read you just a very short, some prose from a great master named Noshul Ken. And this is basically something that we can use to just rest for about 3 minutes before we'll engage in this taking and sending practice. So what I'd like you to do is just get yourself more in a, posture for meditation for just a moment. And I'm going to do just a guided, I know we have limited time, so I'm not going to take this too long, but I want to just read this to you. And this is our ultimate. And what Pema Chodron calls this first stage is kind of flashing on openness, flashing on a big mind, big sky mind, open and expanse. So Noshul Ken says, rest in natural great peace. This exhausted mind, beaten helpless by karma and neurotic thought, like the relentless fury of a pounding wave in the infinite ocean of samsara, rest in natural great peace. So I'm going to ring the bell and we're just going to rest for about a minute. So this is just allow your awareness to open and expand from a place of complete, utter relaxation. Empty, clear mind. Like the sunrise on a clear morning, illuminating the space, brilliant, open, expansive. Now we're going to begin this taking and sending and taking practice. So we're going to start with working with texture. So I want you to visualize just breathing in kind of a heavy or a more of like a smoke, just something that feels a little bit closed down or shut down, claustrophobic. So just work with the visualization of taking in a sense of kind of a claustrophobic feeling, a shutting down, closing your heart. And then you're going to send out kind of a feeling of coolness and brightness and light and freshness. So this can just ride the breath, basically. So on the in-breath, you breathe in completely through all the pores of your body. And you're just taking any sorrow, any heaviness, and you can visualize it as a smoky kind of, substance going into your pores, or you can just get a sense of this kind of cosmic heaviness, coming in. And you can visualize that it goes into your heart, and from your heart it becomes transformed into this cool, clear, crisp, bright, again, radiant, positive energy coming out through 360 degrees from all the pores. So just work with that for just a moment. On the in-breath, you're taking in any heaviness that you might be feeling, any sadness, any anxiety, any grief. Pulling it in, bringing it into your heart. You can visualize even a candle flame there that completely, utterly dissipates it. And from that, then this brilliant, soft, healing, clear, cool, comforting energy gets sent out 360 degrees, can permeate and fill your entire body, but it's filling in space. All the atoms of space are filled with that on the exhalation. Now, one of the relative slogans is begin the sequence of sending and taking with yourself. So we'll just continue that for a moment, thinking if you have anything in particular that's bothering you right now, the election or beyond, any concerns, any frustrations, any anger, anything that shuts your heart down, closes your mind to others, breathe that in, bringing it into your heart center. And in that, you can visualize, as I said, this brilliant candle flame that completely and utterly dissipates that heavy energy. And you send out whatever you need in the moment. It could be confidence, it could be courage, it could be just rest in your body and in your mind. It could be a good book, it could be a good pizza, it could be whatever. So work with that for a few moments, breathing in any personal struggles, suffering you're working with right now in body or mind. Breathing it in fully and completely. And from this warm, tender heart, you're completely pulling it in. It dissipates within that brilliant candle flame in your heart. And you send yourself out relief. You send yourself out healing. You send yourself out love, confidence, whatever you might need. And really feel that you are extending yourself that kindness, and that you're actually receiving it, that it's bathing the cells of your body, kind of cleansing and healing and bathing every single pore and space in your body. Now, genuinely, we do in a very progressive manner, but because we're time limited, I want you to pick just somebody within your world. Could be a friend, could be a loved one, could be a neighbor, anybody you know who has a personal struggle going on right now, and I want you to extend this practice to them. So breathing in whatever difficulty they may be facing in their life. Taking it in completely. Transforming it, actually dissipating, dissolving it in your heart, and sending that person out whatever they need, a sense of, from what you know about their situation. It might be good health, it might be a job, it might be encouragement of some sort. So just work with that for a moment. Usually if we pick a loved one, we already have a feeling of wanting to alleviate their suffering, and that's why it's good to start with somebody who we have a natural warmth towards. So pulling in any difficulty they're facing and sending them out whatever they might need in this moment to be at ease, to be at peace. And now one more moment of expansion, just a sea of sentient beings filling all of space. And all of their worries and all of their pain and all of their struggles and whatever suffering of mind and body and spirit they might be undergoing, pulling that in willingly to take that on, knowing that you cannot be touched. Your awakened nature can never be tainted, can never be destroyed, can never be diminished. In fact, you just have more and more to give by taking on their suffering and your willingness to do that. So pulling that in 360 into all your pores, bringing it into your heart center, the radiance of your own brilliant awareness completely destroying and dissipating that suffering, and sending out through the expanse of space waves of great bliss and happiness and relief. Let's continue that for a moment. I willingly take on the suffering, and I genuinely wish for relief and well-being to the entire world on the out-breath. Okay, now I want you to let go of the visualization, and I want you just to rest back for a moment in the open expanse. Vast, spacious, aware. Just rest in the natural great peace of your own mind and your own true nature. So much more to say, but that's all for tonight. I wanted to just introduce that practice for those of you who haven't done it. It's something you can do on the spot. So, Jim, when you're at the polling, if you feel any angst arising, just take that in, send yourself out, whatever sense of well-being and confidence you need. And everybody over the next couple days, as we move up to this election and go through it, whatever may occur, bring it to this practice, bring it to this path, this awakening mind and heart. So that's all I wanted to say. I mean, I have much more, but I think it's too much. So if there's any questions, I don't know if you want to do it that way, Mushin, or if there's something else on the agenda right now.